right, hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Blaney Philosophy Podcast. I'm your host, Tommy Blaney. This week I have a very special guest on. His name is Milton Espinoza. He's a mentor of sorts to me. He is a man who knows who he is. He knows what his morals and values and the framework of his life is. I want to extend a warm welcome to Milton Espinoza.
Thank you very much, Mr. Blaney. Yes, this is Milton Espinoza, and I look forward to commencing this episode. And so let's get rock and roll.
So Milton, growing up, your father was a big influence on your life?
I would say so, yes. My father, well, both my parents were, both my mother, she's deceased, but my father as well. They were very strong proponents of doing their best. I mean, they wanted to see their children, myself, I have a younger brother, just go forth and do well. And so from school to engaging in sports to even engaging in extracurricular activities. And high school, I was in my junior varsity soccer team. I played defender. I was involved in the theater, the high school choir. As well, I rose to the level of editor of my high school newspaper, the Night News. That was a huge achievement. I love writing.
Did you find in your high school or college years that there was a teacher that made a lasting impact on you?
Great question. I would say, yes, I had one, my global history teacher. He had a Spanish surname like I do, but he was also half Italian too. Basically, he was really into probing students into asking them questions about what their grasp of the material he taught. He really pushed me in particular, I thought, learning the content. And also, he kind of instilled some pride in me. This will give you a little back on myself. I grew up in the north side of Mount Vernon, New York, and that's, at the time, this was in the 80s, it was predominantly Irish, Italian.
Sorry to hear that.
Jewish. And we were, the Espinoza were one of a few Hispanic families in the area. So that was my atmosphere growing up. Mm-hmm. So, and it definitely shaped my worldview and perspective on things.
You felt unique in your Latin heritage?
I did feel unique, although in high school, I got exposed to more people of my heritage, well, just in general. Not too many Peruvian Americans. I met a couple here and there. So I came back to this teacher. So him being part Colombian, half Colombian of ancestry, he was like, he kind of like, when we got to that part of Latin American studies, he really helped inspire me to like say, hey, be proud of your background, what your ancestry developed from. And since then, it was just like I kept that in mind. Like I'm like, okay, I should be proud.
He saw some talents in you, and to give the listeners a little bit of a background on you, you are very good at observing people. Listening's a better word than observing, I think, of seeing what their abilities are and their talents are. And then you make suggestions to people on what they should pursue or how they can make use of those talents. For myself, you had encouraged me to start up a social pickup soccer group, and then you were the one who had an idea for me to do a podcast, and you brought it to my attention. You very gently suggested that, hey, this is something that could be really cool. And I know that you do that with other people. So what I wanted to get deeper into is, how does that process look from Milton? Are you someone that is consciously going about, when you start conversations, you're going in looking for those opportunities, or is this something that you hear what somebody's saying, you're reacting, you're hearing, you're reacting, and then your thought goes, hey, this is something that this person may pursue?
Terrific question. It's a mixture of both, I would say. So when I talk to people, not everybody's the same reception in terms of like when you engage in conversation. People come from varying backgrounds and varying reactions to questions. So personalize it for yourself. I saw right away. We had a great discussion. Actually, what helped me was your very kind assessment of how I was running my own pickup group here in Westchester County, soccer group I was running. And you came to approach me to the field. I remember one day and said, hey, Milton, you're doing a great job here. I really, appreciate, bringing everybody here. And so I was floored by that. I was like, wow, that's awesome. And I also knew that you were a big fan of the sport. I totally highly promote it. Soccer is amazing. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, Tommy, he lives in Connecticut and he loves the sport. He loves playing it. I saw also, I don't know how it came about, but there's some leadership trait in you that I just saw. So I said, I couldn't see himself coordinating and organizing a group. And so I did, like you said, kind of suggested that maybe you might want to look into that. And you did. In terms of other people, yes, I kind of take usually, especially if I don't know them that well or their background, I do ask questions. I ask, okay, about what they like and what their interests are. If I see reception on their end, I go further. Okay, they have a skill that they can offer to the world, but let's build up on that. And let me draw a suggestion. And it's up to them to go ahead and ride with it or not to.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing we did last week was we did a free episode talk through. Before we got together, you sent me a text, and if you don't mind me bringing it up on the episode here,
sure.
You said got back from Mass, felt great, and then we confirmed our details further on in the text there. But that was something that it struck me because it's not something that typically people will mention. I mean, many people go to church, but they may not include it in a text of something unrelated. And it kind of touched me that was something that showed that your faith, you weren't trying to teach me about your faith, but you were mentioning it, and you were allowing me to see that. Could you talk to us about the importance of your faith in your life? Does that perhaps guide you in what were the previous question here of seeing the talents in other people?
So I have a long history of my faith. I'm a Roman Catholic. A couple of things happened in my life recently that kind of just sprouted me up to help me reinvigorate my faith. I have a younger brother, as I mentioned earlier. He's married and has 2 children. Also, this year I became a godfather to my nephew. So I thought to myself, well, I can be kind of really very true to the role and just go forth and do as much as I can with it. I know I don't want to go too much about faith, but
sure.
I know it's not this kind of podcast.
Well,
but,
well, it is an interesting thing that you bring up because what I'm hearing from you, you talked a little bit about growing up and how your parents were an influence on you and they provided a structure for you, and your teacher in high school pointed out that your roots are something you should be proud of, and I would think that would lead right to your parents and the example that they set for you. When you had a position where you're a godfather, you looked and said a similar scenario of the example that your parents set for you that you would want to set for your niece.
Or nephew.
Or nephew. That you would want to set for your niece and nephew. That's a structure and a way of looking at things that you would want them to see and learn from you, that you take it seriously, and so should they.
Totally correct. 100% correct. Yes. Thank you, Tommy.
I think that there's that confidence in that approach, in that you're a humble person. You're humble, but the confidence is where that humbleness comes from, in knowing the right way to show somebody else how to do something. Comes from your faith and your structure.
I would say the confidence came back to my parents, like you mentioned, specifically my mother. She definitely was very instrumental in building that confidence in me. She's now deceased, but she had these high expectations of myself. Well, we have a back in Peru, right? On my mother's side in particular, there was definitely some sense of achievement among the male members. But my grandfather, my mother's father, he was a village judge. And my uncles were still, well, one of them is still alive. He's a kind of a retail merchant in Lima. It's kind of, she would always discuss them and then say, okay, we in school, we want you to do well. And I don't expect anything less, So, it was just like fortified in me. And I guess that when I did well and excelled, and she was kind of applauded my efforts and my achievements, that helped raise my confidence. In terms of like, yes, I'm capable of doing this. I'm capable of excelling.
So if you would allow me to ask you, do you pray?
I find prayer to be so helpful. Prayer to me is like a one-line connection with the Lord.
You try to set a time of day or a time when you're in a certain frame of mind, maybe?
Ideally in the morning. Yeah, ideally in the morning. Just get up and then I just start focusing on targeting on the words, each line, word by word.
I mean, it's maybe a short prayer, 5-10 minutes, but you are, in effect, sort of meditating to each word, each line.
Each line, yes.
Each line of the prayer, and you're digesting it. really thinking about it. It's not just a quick prayer that you run through in the morning and then get it done.
Right.
This is more of a reflection.
I asked me earlier when in my youth, I would just kind of just run through prayers and say, okay, this is great and amen,
Mm-hmm.
But this prayer, especially in particular, is just very meaningful. I mean, it goes into like how you're beseeching to the Lord, like, to help you with this search. I have to do it now. It's like a daily ritual. I have to say this prayer, so it's.
Do you miss it when you don't?
I do. I feel like I didn't do my job, so to speak, for the day, and like I didn't make that communication present to the Lord. I didn't do something.
Now, what would you say to someone that is not in peace?
One is exercise. If you're going to make a regimen, it doesn't have to be this hardcore weightlifting program or a CrossFit regimen. Mm-hmm. It can be a long walk around a lake. Get the body moving. And it scientifically has been proven when you do, especially aerobic exercise, it raises endorphins. Those are the good feeling neurotransmitters, and you just elevate your mood and you feel great. Another thing is to develop a sense of gratitude for what you do have. In other parts of the world, too, there's so much poverty. It's unbelievable. I'm not going to go into politics. I'm just showing an example of how bad poverty can be. As you probably see in the news, it's this literally caravan of thousands of people coming from Central America. They're approaching to our country. What would drive so many people, to human beings, to do that kind of migration, to trek? So I'm in New York State. I'm very blessed, and just in Northeast in general. I mean, and it just and the country as a whole is very rich. Count your blessings, whatever it is, roof above your head, daily food, communication with relatives, count everything.
Well, Milton, I want to thank you so much for doing this interview and sharing about your background, your family, the structure that you had growing up, how you formed your worldview, the people that have had influences on you along the way, your prayer, and how you see the world, and you've left us with some really good advice for other people that may be searching for the same answers that you've been searching for, and we're all ultimately looking for the same things. So thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
I just wanted to say thank you, Tommy, for having me over as a guest. I hope you enjoyed my content today. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter as well. So just do a Google search.
We'll include them in the show notes.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Tommy. Make it a great day, please, everybody. Enjoy, appreciate what you have. I hope that can be added to your own personal philosophy.